At ease, people. But don't get too comfortable.
My Little Pony is an extremely recognizable IP, whether it's from the original run of popularity from the 1980s and 90s, or if it's the relatively recent burst of popularity from Friendship is Magic. As such, a lot has been said about it already. Something I haven't seen, however, is an analysis on color theory specifically. A lot of thought and care went into the design of the main six, intentionally blending the characters' actions with their appearances. Color theory in general is oddly specific and super vague at the same time. There's a lot of rules and concepts that can be put into application when designing a character or a set of characters or a correspondence theme, like Breaking Bad. In My Little Pony's case, the entire world is colorful. It's the first real impression anyone has when they watch the show. Thus, the color of the center pieces of our story has to be very important. Here, I'll go somewhat in-depth in order of least to most interesting, following a plethora of color theory charts and theories. I'm going to exclude outfit variations like the gala sets, mainly because I can't come to any conclusions that don't feel like reaching. The finale costumes are not that good, and I personally don't consider it canon material, so I will be excluding those as well. I'm going to assume anyone watching this already has a basic grasping of the characters and their individual and group arcs, so I won't be going into the very bare basics.
Please, everyone. Excuse me, sir. I mean, no offense, but your rhythm is just a teeny tiny bit off.
Fluttershy is probably the least interesting because it's very painfully obvious what's being shown. Her coat is a soft, almost chalky yellow that really brings out an anxious feel, unlike a deeper yellow that would indicate warmth or positivity. The soft pink mane and tail are her caring nature, as well as embodying gentleness and kindness. Her eyes are a kind of teal, which I can't really make heads or tails of. It's probably just to break up her extremely soft and yellow visage.
There! It's on its way! But I wouldn't hold your breath.
Oh, I'm not worried, Spike. The princess trusts me completely. In all the years she's been my mentor, she's never once doubted me. See? I knew she would want to take immediate action.
Cringe base, onions, snoy, onions, lol, onions, cringe boomer, Lizoomer, I am boomer.
Twilight is a doozy because the purple in her mane and coat are very clearly pointing towards the royalty motif, but I'm still not really a fan of Alicorn Twilight, so I'm gonna say it's spirituality and call it a day. You could argue she is more science-minded than spiritually, but I see spirituality being more in the magic, in-universe legend kind of way. She has a strong tie to the royals anyway, living in Canterlot as the series began. Her eyes are also purple, so there's really not a whole lot of room here. This section is going to mainly apply to Pinkie Pie within her own episodes, as the traits let on by her color scheme are not traits she usually exhibits while she is a supporting character. Narratively, the writers make kind of a mess trying to make her the joke machine in other episodes, while her own episodes feature such deep and masterful explorations of her motivations and emotions.
Oh, okay. If any pony needs me, I'll be in here trying to figure out what to do with 200 pounds of rock candy.
Anyway, pink is compassion, affection, and care. Very clear representations going on here. I've got nothing on her blue eyes. I can't really confidently make any connections to her character specifically.
Rarity, what are you...
Rarity has a stark white coat, which is honestly quite interesting on its own, as very rarely are there other ponies that replicate that, save for the obvious examples. This mainly hammers home the whole diamond in the rough motif that her whole character is built upon, but also insinuates that there are ethereal, sterile, and pure elements to her character. Her mane and tail are a deep purple, which is associated with rich, monetarily and emotionally. Royalty, in a mindset kind of way, unlike the literal sense with Twilight earlier. Deep purples can also be indicative of artistic and luxurious aesthetics, which fits Rarity very well. Her eyes are a deep blue, unlike Rainbow's lighter cyan coat. Deep blues have been associated with competence and dependability, which are traits Rarity exhibits throughout the series.
Daddy picked the banjo too. Play a song for me, Applejack.
Let's get this over with.
Applejack has an orange coat and a blonde mane and tail. Orange has been associated with confidence, bravery, and success. Her character arc and her business-oriented nature reflects that. Yellow is most often associated with warmth and clarity, the second one being the key here. Applejack has always been a very put-together character. She needs some help here and there, but ultimately doesn't really need to learn lessons about being a better person, as she is already. Hence her somewhat mimetic line,
Ahem. I didn't learn anything. I was right all along.
Her eyes are the most interesting to me though, as green is clearly a nature-oriented color. The correlation here should be obvious. Bonus. Her hat is brown, which can be interpreted as being earthy, organic, or natural and stable, which are all Applejack's bread and butter.
Gentlemen, this is your first hop. The jets you are flying against are smaller, faster, and more maneuverable, just like the enemy MiGs. The clock is ticking, and as of now, we are keeping score.
Rainbow Dash has some really interesting stuff going on. She's cyan, which is obviously a shade of blue. Blue has been noted as a kind of secure, order-centric hue, which you may find antithetical to a daredevil, but she specifically joins a government organization, so that's kind of up to your interpretation. Her eyes are magenta, which is a mix of purple and red, which are indicative of ambition and passion, respectively. It fits her in a meta-narrative sense like a glove, and really drives home the kind of aesthetic this design is trying to represent. Her hair is more narratively important and doesn't show too much relevance here, except for the dark red, orange, and yellow clearly visible on her front-facing portrait. Red, as we have discussed, shows passion, but can also be construed as anger, as we have seen her exhibit from time to time. Orange, also like we have discussed, is confidence, bravery, and sociability, which, if we remember back to the very first episode, fits her very nicely.
Let me guess. You're Rainbow Dash. The one and only. Why? You heard of me? I heard you're supposed to be keeping the...
And that's it. A very basic overview of the color theory put on display by My Little Pony: Friendship is Magic's main characters.